call this regular bi-monthly meeting to order, and 5:35, and ask Councilwoman Ned Ketchum if she would lead us in prayer.
Yes, sir. Shall we stand? Lord God, as we gather in your presence this evening and in the presence of each other, we just bow to you and pray that you will oversee the activities of our meeting this evening. Father, that you would be merciful and gracious to us, and that we, in response, would have loving kindness for one another, and that you will look down upon the leadership of this tribe, especially Chief Brooks, and give us wisdom and insight, and that we might be able to discern the facts of any issue that goes before us. Father, we don't have any divine wisdom as you have, but you tell us that the Holy Spirit indwelling us can reveal things to us that we need to know. For we ask all these things in Jesus' name. And most of all, oh God, that you would watch over our elders of our tribe as we shrink, and many are ill. And Lord, for our veterans, our children, all those, Father, that you have your eye upon, would be in our prayers as well. For we ask it in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to ask Assistant Chief to call the roll, please.
Okay, Chief Brooks,
Here.
Assistant Chief Griffith here, Treasurer Benita Shea,
Here.
Secretary Nick Michael, I believe, is on her way,
That's correct, she's on her way.
Councilman Nate Young,
Here.
Councilwoman Annette Ketchum,
Here.
Councilwoman Michelle Hawley.
Here.
I'd like to welcome all of our tribal members and guests. We've got several of Kansas Delawares that have attended the meeting. We welcome you. I want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. Believe it or not, I am exactly as much Irish as I am Delaware and Cherokee, but I can't prove the Cherokee part of it. But happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you, Chief.
And the members in the audience will be given the chance to speak. Can I hear a motion for approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I'd second that motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda's approved. Can I hear a motion to put off the minutes until our secretary arrives?
Also move.
I'd second that motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Benita, do you have the financial report?
Yes, I do. They're enclosed. I would propose a motion that we approve the financials pending audit.
Second that.
Call for the question.
Motion's been made, seconded, and questioned. All in favor of the motion to approve the audit pending, or approve the financial spending audit, please say aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Can we start reports with Mr. Tim Hausberg reporting on economic development?
Good evening. I'd like to start by saying that I wasn't just skipping the last few council meetings. I'd actually been out beating the bushes and traveling with our economic development concerns. And so that's what I'm going to start off by talking about tonight. The first one there is just kind of a recap of the tribal domicile. In January of this year, we launched an online portal that is basically just lets entities, individuals, and corporations get online and form a company rather than send paperwork in. Just speeds up the process and is business friendly. This year, for the third year, we attended the annual Agent Summit and Domicile Trade Show. We were a premier sponsor. We're 4 out of the 5 keynote speakers on various subjects for speaking about new domicile and new places to form LLCs. Spoke about the Delaware tribe of Indians. I was only aware that one was going to speak about it. So that was very positive. In March, we did $1,500 worth of net profit in LLC formations. Upcoming milestones, again, just re-reporting the renewals for all of the companies that were, the fees that were formed last year are due by 3/31. Our projected net revenue from that is $25,000 to approximately $30,000. And the difference is just because some companies don't renew. Some of them sell, they go out of business, or they go to another domicile, and other companies may be coming. I know we have some that are coming from other domiciles to the tribe. The next summary is for river trails. We completed the preliminary review of the fee to trust application, which was done by David McCullough. We paid the Abel's property annual payment, which is a part of our contract to keep our option on the property. And we completed the preliminary review of the historical tribal information that was in that application. And that was done by tribal manager Curtis Zuniga, and Gene, I think, helped out a little bit in reviewing that and forwarded that on to David. Some of the upcoming milestones or things that this council will be asked to consider is, I've received an email from the folks in Leavenworth that the school wants to use the football field for spring practice. So they have asked me to ask you guys to consider that. And I know that Chief Brooks had some conversation about, with David about liability if there was or if there wasn't. And I'll let him speak about that.
David McCullough told me personally that the landowner, since our tribe is holding an option, if he wanted to allow the school to use the field for play, that he had to ask us for permission in case we were to want to exercise our option. He also said there would be absolutely no liability to our tribe by granting land to the landowner. But it's still, I guess, up to this tribal council if we want to do that.
Yeah, so whatever you decide, you would just kind of let me know, and then I'll get with them. My only comment would be, casino or no, giving the kids a place to play football, maybe lots of goodwill in that community.
It's just for practice field. It's
Yeah,
for
just for practicing.
practice. And maybe the junior high at that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So whether we end up doing business there or not, I think it's goodwill for the Delaware tribe, but again, I don't know. And then finally, all of this, the only issue is an issue that we have once, that potentially is going to be an issue for the speed of trust application, is the carcerary opinion, which we have had into the solicitors since April of last year. And why that's an issue is the BIA has stated that no land will be taken into trust until that issue is decided one way or other from the solicitor.
That's the first thing.
Yes, ma'am. My next report, and I'm reporting usually with Jimmy, and he had prior commitments this evening, we're on Talk Oaks E2, the status report. The list of accomplishments, we've been working on this project fast and furious and getting lots done. I'm just going to go through some of them. We completed the sublease for the office space in Guam. That's been executed. One of our two subcontracts for the vegetation biologist has been signed and is going through the process through RHR and through Anderson Air Force Base to get base pass approval before we can start that contract and actually start getting income from it. It is a military base, so once they go through our HR process, they go through the DOD background process to get access to the base. We hope that will be completed in a week to 10 days, and then that contract will start immediately, and that's for vegetation biologist. The second contract that was executed is for OEL and other environmental liabilities. That's just a survey being conducted of the wastewater and water assets of that base. It's also on Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. Catherine Burnson is a subcontractor who we hired as a subcontractor first because we wanted to avoid a little bit of the delay in the base approval, so we could start that work immediately, and she has begun that work, and believe Gene Lewis is invoicing for that as we speak today or in the morning.
Good morning.
She will be invoicing our first bill to the prime contractor. And then those will go out, I believe, every week. Is that?
I don't know. I guess it would be.
Yes, at least every week. So that work has begun. And let's see.
Tim, could I ask a question?
Yes,
How long will that contract last?
It's about a 6-month contract.
6 months, okay, so it'll still be going on about 2 months after the other one ends, maybe.
Yeah,
If the
and
other one ever gets started.
and the liability survey is going to probably transition into it will transition into a longer contract, which is a part, these are little pieces of these are subcontracts of a big prime contract for the entire base. And so this is one little segment of it. And so as she completes that initial survey, she will move in and we will add another biologist with her to continue on to that. That's a 2-year project. And we
Are you talking about the
other environmental
Lauren Thompson will keep going, or are you talking?
Catherine Burnson.
Catherine Burnson, okay.
Burnson. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so she's a biologist as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Of course, she will, as soon as the background passes are completed, she will transition over through our HR department into a full-time Talk Oaks employee. This past week, we also met with Running Wolf. I would say we, the Tribal Council, David McAuliffe, Jimmy Johnson, and myself met with Art Yoshinaga and Melissa Zavadil, a part of the development team for the upcoming contracts that Talk Oaks is going to be doing the work. And we began preparations to submit an 8A application. Basically met pretty intensely for 2 days and got that kicked off. Later on this evening, you will be considering a resolution to allow Talk Oaks to submit that application. Later that last Friday, in an effort with this tribal council and Chief Brooks and Bill John Baker to work together in various areas, this one specifically in the economic development area, myself and Mr. Johnson and Sam Hausberg sat down with Vice President of Cherokee Nation Businesses, Chuck Garrett, and Attorney Todd Hembry to discuss short-term working together with Talk Oaks and then long-term working together with Talk Oaks. That discussion, I think I should point out, they were there to talk about anything that we might be mutually beneficial in economic development, but we agreed based on guidance that I'd got from the chief in this tribal council that the one thing that we do have going, although we're considering other things, is Talk Oaks. We know they do lots of environmental work, both locally and abroad, and I felt like that was something where they could allow us to take some work, bid on some work that they were already bidding out, get some good quality work done for the Cherokees and get us some history. As well as we did just discuss DOD contracts. He was very, very excited about some of our capacities that we had. We went through the marketing material and he actually grabbed one of the fly sheets and was like, all right, where are these people and how fast could we employ them? Because we have some projects specifically coming up where we are looking for this type of work, and that was the wastewater. You know, we spent lots of time, you know, when you have lots of property, lots of houses, lots of facilities, you have lots of waste. So that was something that piqued his interest. Beyond that, we talked about things that we could do baby steps right now, and that is, again, they have quite a robust building effort for residential and commercial. And so we spoke, we had an idea that, you know, for doing some of their perk work, some of their lower end environmental work, something that we could get Jimmy certified in, and he could go begin doing perk tests immediately, something local, something that would meet our commercial mix, which we're going to have. And then we had a broader discussion, and I thought it might be interesting. You know, months ago when we were going through the process of getting licensed in Guam, and we were jumping through all the hoops, and finally we said, okay, do you have an example of a tribal company over here that filled out the form right? And they said, yeah, and they printed out a company. It was the Cherokee Nation's environmental company. I say that only to say that after about an hour, when the conversation with Mr. Garrett, he seemed to have something that we had, and of course they've got something that we don't have, and hopefully that's going to be the discussions in the months to come. You know, they've got a company, they have 8A status, they don't have any jobs. We have jobs, don't have an 8A status. So we're hoping to work together. I spoke with him today. Our first step is going to be to submit a TARO application, because that will be the application that we will need to begin getting subcontracts for them. Jimmy and I have that form and have converted it to fillable PDF, and we'll start on that at the end of this week, and hope to have that submitted by the 1st of April, and Mr. Garrett wants to walk that through with us, get that walk through with us. So, I don't know, maybe y'all should discuss it. I don't know if we need a resolution to fill out the TARO application. If we do, I want to get that done in the first tribal council meeting of April. At the end of the meeting, and again through my phone conversation with Mr. Garrett, he is working to set up meetings in the upcoming weeks with the Housing Authority and their environmental department, and then to have maybe teleconference meetings with Art and Mr. Hausberg and their DOD team in the future. So, upcoming milestones.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
While I'm thinking about it. To help me understand, are these jobs that they're talking about, environment, are they in the Cherokee Nation? Or-
Yeah, they would be in the 14 counties.
Okay, well, what, did you all talk about, or do you need to, about that MOA? Are they going to tax us when we have jobs?
That didn't come up. I don't think we pay taxes. You mean like
Well,
a
if
surcharge or?
They can charge us tax, unless we're paying taxes to the state. The MOA says they can charge us tax to pay into their tribe.
Well, that didn't come up, but that'll, when it does, that'll be something that we'll want to try to get waived, obviously. 'Cause
Right, that's
trying-
what I was wondering.
We're trying to get started, so.
I know. Well, that would be something I think we'll bring up to waive before we get to the point they say, oh, we owe them the money.
Well, I think part of the process of becoming TARO certified, that certifies us to do some work in the nation, and there will be a fee with that. It's $100, and then $50 a year. But since we're moving forward, trying to work together that's going to be mutually beneficial, you know, I'm going to try to get all that like.
Well, yeah, and they're in business to make money just like we are, so if we have to, we're gonna have to work it out, I think, on the front end before we catch any surprises on the back end.
Well, and the other way to look at it is if I got to pay taxes because I made a bunch of money, that's a pretty good problem to have.
Absolutely.
So again, we're asking you to consider the tribal resolution, I don't know the number, to submit the 8A. Late March, early April, both the second subcontract will be in full force and we'll be building. We'll want to get the Taro application submitted no longer than the first week of April, because that will be the thing before they can give us jobs that we'll have to have filled out. So please make a determination whether we need a resolution or not.
You know, I was gonna say something else too, Tim.
Okay.
That taro is only for Oklahoma, I mean, you have to be in Oklahoma to do their taro, is what I'm saying. So, are we in Kansas or Oklahoma?
Well, we're gonna do work wherever we can.
I know, but
So,
you have to live, you have to, the taro representatives have to be residents of Oklahoma. The company.
well, individuals would, but the Taro application for tribes is a little different,
Oh,
just like
okay.
it is for the 8A.
I see, okay. Just wondering.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
The last, issues, things I need one more resume. And I know Vice Chief's been real busy. And we're moving forward
I'm
with
working on it as we speak.
Michael, okay,
Cut me
Michael
some slack here, buddy.
Taylor is getting resumes together for past employees, current employees, and potential employees to start building a pool, an employee pool for some of these jobs that are going to be coming up and to go in as a part of, the 8A application. And then I know that members of the tribal council have been working to write maybe a press release for the web, not a press release, but something for the website and the DIN that says, we have this entity, here are the areas, the fields that we're going into, if there's someone that's has engineering background, has environmental science background, that's going to school to do those types of things, that's done some of those things in the past, we're looking for them, and please contact us. That's obviously not what it's going to say, but I know that's what Nikki and Michelle are working on.
It's jobs notice. It's a
Jobs notice,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, ma'am. The last thing, I won't go all the way through because it's a little redundant, and I've been working with Danita to get these filled out, to get a good format going for these reports. And this one I'm going to need some help on because it kind of is redundant on this last page, and it's just titled Economic Development. Some of these things are redundant, so I'm going to mark through that. We talked about the CMB. Okay, so we went to South Carolina, the hydroponics. We went to South Carolina on that visit. I've sent all of you guys some videos and some pictures. If not, yeah.
May I interrupt one moment?
Yes, ma'am.
You should have my resume now.
Okay, thank you. If not, I started getting them those pictures, the documentation, the videos to Johnny, and what I want to try to do is maybe get something for anyone at the tribe that wants to see them, or maybe run them up there for a couple of lunches. And I'm in the first phase of doing our due diligence, and that is, can these guys grow plants? And they obviously can. Some of you that have seen the slides and the videos, it's pretty pretty massive, pretty intense. I mean, they grow it vertically and lots of volume, and they're good at it. The second part of that is, can they sell it and be profitable? So they've sent us several letters and invited us out. I've put them off because now I'm in the second phase of our due diligence, and that is checking with some of the vendors, potential clients. I did speak with a company called McIntyre that's on the East Coast that is committed to buy 250,000 pounds of vegetables a month. That contract starts next month. So in the next month or two, as they get that going, I'm going to go down the potential list of the clients in our area. U.S. Foods, Cisco. I spoke with the people at the VA hospitals this morning. Lafredo Produce in Kansas, Liberty Fruit in Kansas City, and Costco. And so in the month to come, I will be discussing with them, what they would commit to, what are the types of things they buy, and what they pay for it. The last part of that is, funding. So it's a rather significant investment. But I started working with Chip, one of the guys that was here a month or so ago, and he was a municipal banker. And what South Carolina has done for these folks is commit resources. Why that's important is because each state has the same type of pool and the same type of program. So 2 days ago, I went ahead and reached out to the Kansas Department of Commerce and the Oklahoma Department of Commerce and started the ball rolling about some of the things that might be able to supplement helping this. And so here's what I got in the first response. I got a handbook, I got an overview that basically says they have economic development grants to cities and counties. Now that's not the same kind of grant. It is, but it isn't, is what you're going to talk about later today. Because they end up being grants. They start out as loan. So they get the cities, the councils, and counties are funded by the state to provide gap financing for private businesses like this one that would create and retain permanent jobs. The eligibilities are infrastructure, land acquisition, fixed assets, and working capital. The highest points that you get, the most money you get, is for hiring jobs over 50 and over 100, that at least 51% are created by or that meet urban development low and moderate income standards, which is kind of exactly the employee that we would be hiring. So Kansas gives us tax credits in the form, and we don't pay taxes, but why that's important to us is tax credits can be sold for 60 cents on the dollar. So there's some capital. They would also start out, would give us $750,000, a ceiling of $35,000 per job created, up to $750,000, as long as we created more than 50 jobs or more. So payroll assistance, basically, for the first 18 months. The last thing, which is quite interesting, is guaranteed 2% capital loans for fixed assets, for leasing or buying, and which, by the way, in the formula that I'm using that I'll be bringing to you guys in the next 60 months, we're not buying anything. We're looking at it from a lease perspective or a rent perspective. So 15-year loans up to $10 million for 2% interest. The first year is deferred, and if we meet the parameters that I discussed earlier, 51% of the jobs created meet low to moderate income. That loan turns into 80% of it we don't even have to pay back. So I had a really good discussion with the lady in Kansas. Hopefully maybe have her down as we kind of put more of the pieces together and see if it's something that we're gonna be interested in, as well as I may have a little bitty hydroponic miniature set up in the cafeteria so everyone can see it. So, that's all I have. If anyone has any questions, fire away.
Quick question.
On your startup costs on your hydroponics, you say we're gonna be able to do grants and stuff to help basically start it up?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, potential. I was kind of curious, is just how fast is your product gonna be grown? And is it guaranteed that we're gonna be able to sell to these companies? Or are we gonna be growing a bunch of stuff and then all of a sudden you can't get rid of it?
Well, it's a great question, and that's why, if you heard me earlier, I went ahead and got the list. You know, I've been working with the guys that have developed it, and they said, here, you know, call them, don't take our word, which I wasn't going to anyway, I just didn't know who to call. And they gave me the phone numbers. And what I'd like to do is get all the figures together, find a facility like the old Walmart in Coffeyville that we could lease real cheap, it's close. And put a plan together and bring to you guys in the council and say, all right, U.S. Foods will buy 200,000 pounds of this a month. All we have to do is grow it. They'll sign a contract. U.S. Foods has actually built facilities for people. Not the first one, but if they go up, they prove that they can do it, U.S. Foods typically comes in and say, we're going to build you another facility, but everything you grow is for us. So my approach was to go backwards. You know, what's it going to cost to start it? Where can we get the money? From the bank, from the general fund, from some of these other sources, and then who are we going to sell it to and get a contract? Because we can now say, here's what we're growing in South Carolina, here's the volume, here's the quality, and get a commitment from them before we ever turn on a light.
Okay, another question, please.
Okay?
I was kind of, well, actually, it would be two questions. On the land that they're wanting to use as a football field, you say that we're not going to be held liable for any, or no liability for us. Does that mean that, can you get that in writing, that it's not going to be, that say, all right, you can use this field, anything happens, it's your fault, it ain't ours?
Well, number one, I didn't say it, the attorney did.
Well, okay, I'm sorry.
And
I don't like lawyers, so I don't believe it, so.
yeah.
There you
So
go.
I don't. Maybe I'm sure we could get a waiver. I mean, I don't.
That is kind of curious because, like I say, when they say, oh, well, we're not going to do this, and all of a sudden they do. And I just want to know, would we be held liable as the tribe, or how would we have to have insurance on there just for that? That was one of the questions. And the other one was on your waste management, water stuff, you think you were talking about? Could you maybe clarify something for me? I can't get it through my head on how this works. I mean, what do you do with the water when you get it? Do we have to pay to get it dumped, or how does it work, in other words? I'm not sure how it works.
Were you talking about the waste energy or the wastewater project?
Wastewater.
Okay, that would be, for example, that would be a project that our environmental company would come in. Typically, when you have large building infrastructure, you have lots of water, then you have lots of wastewater, and as that ages, it deteriorates. And so, you know, through GIS and surveying equipment, they go in and map out, identify problem areas, and map a solution to fix it, whether it's replacing it, repairing it, and then whatever remediation that goes on with that. That waste or that water would be the Cherokee Nations. We would just be coming in and assessing it and solving a problem. And whether we even, most of the construction type stuff, we would sub out.
you're gonna go through hydroponics, do you have to replace that water? Or can you continually use it and just like add an additive to it to make it viable again? Or do you have to, when you get through using all the nutrients up, do you get rid of this water and replace it, or how does that work?
Well, typically, you'd want to turn your water over if you were using man-made nutrients. But this particular model uses fish poop. So you trap rainwater, which our water sources is threefold. First, we trap it from rain. Second, well, and last, the city. And the nutrients, we're growing tilapia. So not only are we growing lettuce, but the fish waste is the exact natural ingredients that the lettuce needs to survive, and it's less harmful on the plants. You know, it's more biodegradable. It's non-GMO. So it's kind of so it's kind of the circle of life there. So we're gonna raise fish to raise the nutrients to put on the vegetables. By the way, this plant, when you see it, there's no waste. You know, even at the cardboard boxes that the lights and the equipment comes in, they tear it up and they put it in outdoor lasagna compost beds, and it decomposes, and they grow flowers out there out of that. There's zero waste in this plant.
That, yeah.
My question was, when do they think they will begin to recapture their investment?
You mean total return on investment? Well, this first contract with,
And I'm referring to the hydroponics.
okay.
Are they able to project that yet?
Yes, but I mean, they hadn't shared it. I haven't asked for it yet.
They may not want to give it.
Well, they've given everything that I've asked for. So, I mean, they want us to come. They want us to come on the 19th when the governor's going to be there and U.S. congressmen are going to be there, someone from the Department of Agriculture. But we were slammed with tribal business. And I want to see it after they've done it 2 or 3 or 4 months. And we can come in and see 3 or 4 months of the books. And see their happy customer. So, well, basically I told them we're busy till the end of May, because
Well, but I think going to a grand opening is only for show.
yeah, we want to.
We don't have time for show.
No.
We don't want to spend our money on one trip to go for show. We want to spend our money to go when we're going to have some.
Right, we want all their attention.
Right.
Is it a privately held company?
Yes, sir.
Are they buy or pay contracts with the purchasers?
Explain that.
Well, you either they buy what you produce or they pay you for it if they don't need it.
Correct.
So that's what they do.
They back the trucks up and take it all.
And if they don't, they still pay for it.
Correct.
Charles Randall.
Yes, I've got a question. Are we in competition on this? I mean, it sounds like a great deal, and I was just wondering, do we have any other competition vying for this?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. There's one of these facilities in Tulsa, but as I dive into the numbers, Charles, and you can see it on Mr. Randall. I'm sorry. You can see it all over the TV. The farmers out in California and through the Midwest, drought. So you go to Walmart right now, and all the stuff you buy there is grown indoors. And what the U.S. Department of Agriculture says, in the next 15 years, about 60% of everything that we're going to eat, they're projecting to be grown indoors. So, is there some competition? Absolutely, but there's no one growing. The big plants there's 2 on the East Coast, and there's 2 in California. The rest of them are relatively small. And right now, if you talk to the guy at US Foods, they can't buy enough lettuce, leafy lettuce. You know, everywhere you go, for about everything, they're using lettuce.
So we're not risk on a timetable on this, is what I'm saying.
Oh, is someone gonna come into Coffeyville and put one in? No, I don't think so. I mean, if they do, it wouldn't change our model. I mean, with this list of vendors, they can't get enough of it.
I had one other question. On this, the company that you went to visit at Louisiana wasn't a waste to energy.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
You didn't mention what company
No,
that was, or,
I didn't, because when I got there, you know, I didn't like it. It was biomedical waste, and it was a very nice, very profitable type industry. But when I got out and walked through it and saw it, it was nothing that I saw the Delaware.
it didn't look compatible, you mean, for us, or what?
I wouldn't feel good standing up here saying, I think y'all should do that. It smelled, and it was putting off waste, and, you know, I didn't have to get much further than the parking lot to see people in Ebola suits and,
What kind of suits?
well, PPE suits.
Oh, I see.
You know, it wasn't anything I felt good recommended. So, I mean, I'm looking at about half a dozen of those things, everything from wood waste to tire to waste,
Okay.
from some solid. So I'm looking at a variety of them. That was a biomed deal, and I
You just turned around and left?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Highly regulated.
Yeah, expensive.
Sticky.
Well, and, you know, when they say, we'll fund it all, you know, we want to bring our medical waste to your land, I just, you know, didn't feel like the responsible thing to do.
Do I hear further questions for Tim? If not, Curtis, could you,
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
the question's been asked.
Can we take a 10-minute break? I'll make a motion.
Oh, there's a second.
A second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.